the pros and cons of using pros or volunteers. So when is it okay for your venue to sound or look bad? Can you get good results without spending money on contracting a pro? Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Greg Baker, the Director of Production for Saddleback Church, to discuss the pros and cons of using tech, volunteers, pros, or cons. So Greg, tell me about yourself. How long have you been at Saddleback? How'd you end up at Saddleback? What did you do before that?
I grew up in the church family, going to church. I went to a Presbyterian church in Santa Ana. And my then girlfriend, now wife, happened to find Saddleback Church, this little tiny church meeting in a high school auditorium. And there's something about it. The music department really attracted me. And I started volunteering right away at a church that is so good at reaching people. It just made me feel good. It got me back into church, got me back into everything. And I've been working there now for almost 28 years now.
28?
So, yeah. Next month, 28 years. So I've seen all the change, a lot of change. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool. So how many venues do you manage now? And how many venues do they have?
Well, currently we have 20. I should have counted exactly. It's right around 20 anyway. Most in Southern California, drivable distance, and 4, as of this weekend, a 5th international campus. I help with those. I've been to most of them, but they're mostly hands-off, take care of themselves kind of a thing. So I'm fairly active at the Southern California campuses.
So what's your title?
My title, I have to try to remember it, Production Development Director.
So all things production.
Production in regards to builds, maintaining, not of just gear, but of the people involved also. So when there's training to be done for the folks at the campuses, I'm the director of the teams that do those. So, yeah.
All tech people, but not music people.
Right, production specific.
Production
yes.
specific, yep.
Right.
So does your church use contracted pros or just staff and volunteer?
Currently, we have, I'm going to say we're 90% volunteer. We fill in that on stage and in production with a few staff folks, and there are very few. I can probably count them on one hand, actual paid outside contractor people. We have gone through different phases of using more and less of that, and we've landed at this rhythm we have now, which is small staff, large volunteer team, and then fill in if we have to with pros. The way Saddleback does it, we find locations where we have large groups of small groups already, and then we decide to build a church there. And so it comes about somewhat organically, but because of that, we're not building a building. We're not, some churches build a uniform campus. We have this here, and we just duplicate it. We're definitely not like that. Most of our campuses start portable. They meet in a high school theater with gear in a box, unpack it and go. So to keep things similar, according to your question, how does tech go into the volunteer? That is really sometimes difficult because as the church will grow, as we build things, that has to grow, that has to expand, that has to get, a higher quality. I hate to say it like that because everybody wants that high quality from the start, but the reality is sometimes we start these things in, we have one in a coffee shop right now,
That's cool.
Meeting in a coffee shop. So we have a large gamut of things from coffee shop to 3,000 seat auditoriums. So,
but with that many campuses, knowing you've got to have more than one, at least sound techs, you have to have more than one in each venue. Mm-hmm. I assume you end up with the unhealthy ownership, that kind of thing. Have you ever had to deal with that kind of thing?
We have had to deal with that. We are now strategically avoiding that problem by staffing a production person at each of our 20 locations. There is a staff person, one production staff person.
Oh.
Most of the time it's a part-time staff person, especially if it's a portable campus, temporary campus, set up, tear down campus. They work few hours on a Saturday, but then all day Sunday. So it's sort of a 10-hour-a-week only thing. That person is technically on staff. So is that a paid professional? It's right on that line because they're a staff member of Saddleback, but they only work on Sunday. So it's different because then we have different contracts, different things. You're a staff member of Saddleback, so that's how we kind of get around sometimes that they still have to go through our process of hiring, through our pastoral leadership. They have to be interviewed by pastors. They have to go through all of that. So that right now our current paid professionals are officially staff members, even if they're not. We have a few that are not located at a specific campus. They're on call, but they've still gone through the entire hiring process at Saddleback Church.
Just to recap, so I understand you have a production person that does all production at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part-time
Yes.
person.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're also bringing in the volunteers.
Volunteers from there,
which more and more of the pastors I talk to are like, can we just pay someone to make this go away because we have this guy who's kind of hoarding the board and wants to be the guy every week, and it's just, it gets unhealthy because you need to have more sets of ears, and you need to have people that don't have unhealthy ownership, and that's why I say they kind of get.
And it comes down to the church philosophy or church's philosophy, your priorities, because you can have a church philosophy that's just, we just want the best sound no matter what. Well, guess what? You might have to hire a professional. Most churches I deal with are sort of what you alluded to, that like, hey, his attitude isn't working for us. So what the church is really looking for is somebody who's dedicated, somebody who's motivated, somebody who loves the church, is willing to give their time. And guess what? That's a volunteer. So what is the church's priority? Is it that we don't care, we just want it to sound good? Or is it that, no, we want that person that really wants to be here? So that's where you have to figure that out. And even though volunteer can kind of cross both those lines. They can be that angry guy and still volunteer, but then you get into that, were they motivated? Are they really here for their church? Or are they just here because they want to be the sound guy? The way we get around that, when you volunteer for Saddleback Church, there's a process you go through, and one of those is, here's the sheet of the things we expect, and they literally initial and sign. Like, yes, I'm dedicated to this church. I will be on time. I'm a believer, because you have plenty of volunteers that just, hey, a free place to go mix. I don't know about Jesus. I don't care about Jesus, but I get a mix. No, we know the date. You've probably been. We ask about a baptism date. We're a Baptist church, so baptism dates.
Wow.
So we have them actually sign. I hate to say contract. It's not a contract, but just a dedication to the system that we have in place, to the church, and that helps.
That's brilliant, actually, because that kind of, I can see how that would filter guys out. Because I always wondered, how do you know when it's time to fire the sound guy? Because, that's the whole point of this discussion is, don't use pros.
Fire the sound guy is tough, although we have done it. We haven't had to do that in a long time. It's that gentle, if it's a volunteer, it's that gentle, hey, maybe you'd be better in the traffic ministry, kind of a thing. That's hard to do. Again, structure our staff member and volunteers. That staff member is the one who is supposed to be maintaining that and putting the volunteers in where their skill sets are. For the most part, we try to just provide more training. Volunteers, it's not 100%, but let's face it, a volunteer will typically not have the same level mix that a pro that's been doing it their whole life will have.
No.
That's not 100% of the time. So there are some great volunteers. But you have to understand, having a volunteer, you might have those moments of something going wrong. And what is important to you is the quality of the mix, exactly what you're going for. Is it just he keeps missing transitions? Are they, what is it, just the attitude that the person's having? All those things come into play, and that's where the staff member now has to answer to whether that person is hitting the marks or not.
How should we evaluate the experience level of a sound person when we're designing a church sound system?
I do it almost daily in one way or another. First of all, the problem is the sound guy's not forever. We've rotated sound guys significantly. So will I ask for a specific sound system from someone like you because I have a great sound guy? No. I will base it, I go after sound systems that obviously fit the room to the potential that we need it to fit. Now, where I will change and actually do think of sound guys in our selection of Well, let's talk about the audio board. Without throwing names out there, there are some that are, you need to be a professional to really know your way around it. And that doesn't work with volunteers. So I don't spec certain large format audio consoles because of that. I know I'm being run by volunteers. I know my video is being run by volunteers. So I will spec out typically something that is more user friendly, still capable of what we need, but something that is specifically more user friendly that maybe the pros would be like, oh, why did you buy that? It's like, well, because these 5 people that are here volunteering their time know how to run that. So I'm going to do it every time. How I get around that is I have a guy on staff who's a great sound engineer. If people are complaining about, oh, it's something's wrong with our speakers, they're distorted, the wireless is always not working. Well, guess what? Bad news. Oh, why don't we come take a look for it? And it's really just me and another guy walking in, kind of retuning, getting things where it goes, and then at the end of the day, ask the pastor, does that sound better? And 9 times out of 10, it was a free fix because it was something that just needed to happen here. Yeah. So, but if we get to a point where it's like, you're right, your capabilities are beyond what this sound system can do, and we're getting you new gear, then we will. So that's why between our portable campuses and our 3,000 seat venues, yeah, the gear has changed because we've got more capability through the years for those specific locations. So we have a few locations like that. Yeah.
Do you find that the gear level varies a lot between pro and volunteer, or are you finding that some of the volunteers, the gear actually helps them set them up for success?
I'm finding it sometimes is hurting volunteers. Sometimes there's too much they can do. Or what happens is if you have a group of volunteers that mix at one place, person A will come in one week, person B will come in the next week, person C will come in the next week, and they're usually just reloading the console, and they've built on, they don't necessarily know all the plugins and everything person B did the week before. Some of them don't even know it exists. So I'm finding it actually almost be a negative at a certain point. So we try to have a default show, and you start with the default for your show. But there seems to be some, that's why it's a loaded question. It's hard for me. I actually see digital consoles as great tools, but can be overwhelming for volunteers, and they can get themselves in trouble pretty fast.
Now, just to get into the other disciplines, we talked a lot about sound because it's the most vulnerable, I think. But where do you stand on lighting? Do you ever use pros in the lighting world? I think sound is probably the first place, but pros, is it strictly volunteers?
Saddleback is built in such a way that we only broadcast from one location. So even though we have 20 plus campuses, there's only one that we broadcast from. So there's one location with decent broadcast lighting. And that is a paid staff person.
I would think.
Do we run it on volunteers? Absolutely. A paid staff person will come in, program, and usually sit through the first service or two, and then hand it off to, guys that know enough to just click through and get emergencies or have to make small changes. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. No wonder you're so busy.
That's
a lot to do.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you so much for being willing to spill it all out.
Anytime.
There's a lot that you do, and all those years or decades, I should say, I kind of knew that eventually it would kind of make sense to me how you oversee it all. Yeah. And this is a good structure. You guys have done well.
Yeah, so it worked for us.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Yeah.
You got it. If this was helpful, check out our other TechArts videos, subscribe for more, and visit our website to see our latest projects and integrations.